Hello, church. It's time for our weekly devotional. It's my chance to lead you, and I want to thank you for being here and giving me a small part of your week. I know things are busy right now. It's November the 1st, which is just crazy to say out loud, but here we are, 2 months to go before the end of the year. And so for you to take a moment and pull off the side of the road with me and get into God's word for a minute, it means a lot. And so we're going to lean into that a little bit together, and I can't wait to encourage you with this short time. I want to start with a story from my life, and it's probably easily a top 5 moment for me in terms of happiness. And this was the day that Jessica and I got married. Now, the whole day was incredible, but there was a couple of minutes of that day that are going to be forever felt in my heart and forever burned into my mind. You know, whether my wife and I were brilliant or people that like to roll the dice, whatever you want to call us, we decided we wanted to get married in March outside in Oklahoma. The weather that time of year can be just dicey. It might be snowing, icing. It might be 91 degrees. You just never know. You could have a thunderstorm in March. We have some crazy weather during that time of year, but we decided that's what we're going to go with. And our family, particularly my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, they opened up their home to us, and they just said, you can have the wedding here. They have a beautiful home with amazing land. And so we decided to just go with it. And so as the day of the wedding gets closer and closer, it is clear that we are just going to have an amazing weather forecast. And so a week out, we know it's going to be solid. And it truly was. Anybody that was at our wedding, you know how perfect the day was. It was like God just sent like extra birds in the area too to chirp. And we also had just this cool breeze that was blowing. It was like 68 degrees. There was a little bit of sun, some clouds. I mean, you just couldn't have asked for a better setup weather-wise. It was incredible. And so there's this moment right before the wedding, probably 5 minutes out from me coming down the aisle and waiting for my bride to walk down. And I'm standing up on the porch, and I'm looking down, and I see the white chairs, and I see the arch and the flowers, and I see my family and my friends all down there laughing and talking and fellowshipping. And I was just standing there and just absorbing all of that. And to make it even more serene, the song on the playlist changed. And one of my favorites came on by Steve Winwood. And Steve Winwood's song, Back in the High Life, started blasting over the speakers. And if you've never heard the song Back in the High Life by Steve Winwood, do yourself a favor, be blessed today and listen to it. I know many of you have heard it. So I'm up there in this moment. Back in the High Life is coming on the speakers. I see everything I'm seeing. It's an amazing moment. And I literally had tears just well up in my eyes because I was like, I'm back in the high life, baby. You know, that's how it felt. I just was truly overflowing with joy. It was incredible. And the ceremony was amazing. And we just had a beautiful God honoring moment, exchanged our vows, and then celebrated with all our friends and family. And so that moment is forever etched into my memory and my feelings. And what I know now is after being married for a long while here and having a family and a 2.5-year-old almost, and all the things that life throws at me on the daily and my wife on the daily, Steve Winwood doesn't play all the time. Not in my head, not when I'm walking in the house. A lot of times I come home and there's kids that are screaming and the house is destroyed and my wife is frazzled and I'm grumpy and I'm tired and you know, Welcome to the Jungle might as well be playing by Guns N' Roses when I walk in the house. You know, that would probably be more fitting. And so, you know, you get that dose of reality often that sometimes the music of life is not always what you want it to be. And if we're really honest, those Steve Winwood moments are pretty fleeting. Those moments when we feel like everything's lining up and everything is where it should be, they're just pretty rare. And many of us in our lives, we know what it feels like to hear music that we don't want to hear. We've faced death. We face depression. We face divorce. We face just the difficulties of life, and those moments of perfection, those moments where we have all this plenty and this abundance, they're just not there like we want. And Paul talks about this in the scriptures in Philippians, and he addresses this very thing, that there are going to be times in your life when you have an abundance. There's going to be time in your life when you're starving. There's going to be times in your life when you're facing plenty and you're going to have everything you want. And then there's going to be times when you are literally starving. What do you do about that? And so I want to read this to you from Philippians chapter 4. And it's probably, as you all know, one of the most famous verses in the New Testament. It's probably on 152 coffee mugs at Martell. It's probably in your home somewhere, and that's a wonderful thing. But I want to make sure we have the context of what Paul is saying here and read the verses before. Philippians 4, 11 through 13. So look at this and see what Paul says here. He writes, "For I have learned in whatever situation I'm in to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound in any and every circumstance. I have learned the secret of facing plenty and facing hunger, facing abundance and need." And he says those great words that we all know by heart. I can do all things through him who strengthens me, or I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. We know that verse in our heart. And my hope for you today is that you will pay attention to what is before that. Paul was saying to the people that you need to understand that life is going to sometimes be bare bones. Sometimes life is not going to go your way. Sometimes you're going to be hungry. Sometimes you're going to be without things. You're going to be brought low. And then there's going to be times in your life when you're brought high and things are going to be overwhelming, that the Steve Winwood classics are going to be playing and things are going to be going really well. And what Paul is saying here is that I've learned this secret to all of it. I've learned the secret of facing plenty and facing, hunger. And the secret is that I can face all of it because of Jesus. I can face all of it because Christ is the one that gives me strength. And so my challenge for you today and for myself is that we would not just be people that are trying to pursue the Steve Winwood moments, the high life moments, but we would know that even in the low life moments, the moments when we're brought low and we're hungering and we're thirsting and we're struggling, we've had death come to our family, or we've had a fight with our spouse, or whatever it might be, that we can face all of that because of who is giving us strength. So I have strength when I have a lot. I have strength when I have very little, because Christ is the one that gives me strength. And I love that word there that we don't say a whole lot. Paul says, I'm going to be content in every situation. Content. That there's this undercurrent of satisfaction in my heart. No matter what I face, I'm going to be satisfied because I have Jesus. And so today I encourage you with that. You're going to hear Steve Winwood sometimes, and other times the music's not going to be what you want to hear. But underneath it all, we have Jesus. And because we have Jesus, we have everything. Church, I love you deeply. And I hope this encourages you. I hope that we know that we can be content in our ups and our downs. We can be consistent. We can be steady because of who sustains us. I love you dearly. And as always, I just ask you to go and be the church. Thanks.